19th November was already a sad day in Indian cricket. We all know what happened in that final of the 2020 350 over World Cup. Add another date from November, 16th November, to the list of sad days in Indian cricket. A day that will not be forgotten in a hurry because of what was witnessed. What has happened at Eden Gardens, a disastrous day at that, a test match that was closely contested, a test match where the Indian team was ahead. Everything that could go wrong for them went wrong, whether it was their bowling, whether it was their captaincy plans, or whether it was their batting on the third day to eventually hand over South Africa. Memorable win, a 30-run memorable win that they have got. I'm going to equate this, and I was reminded of another infamous day of Indian cricket way back in 1997. 81 India were all out chasing 120 versus West Indies. That day hasn't been forgotten in a hurry. In fact, till today, if you ask a Sachin Tendulkar, he'll say it was the lowest day of his life. And this, I think, ranks right up there because a target of 124 should have been chased down by an Indian team, a home team, and they had no reason to hide behind anything. I know pitch is going to be something that we'll talk about in this match report, and I will address that elephant in the room. That was the pitch, and why did India go with that pitch? But even if I was to look at the pitch with the way it behaved, I've seen worse pitches, worse conditions, and you've had batters that have stood up. Unfortunately, not a single Indian batter stood up. So first thing first, the blame solely lies on this inexperienced and incapable Indian batting order that could not chase down 124. There was a clear-cut lack of experience, lack of stomach for a fight, and lack of grit. They crumbled under pressure, and for that, I'm afraid there is no excuse. So the first and foremost reason for me remains that India should have chased this total down. I agree, and I'll give them that benefit of doubt, that for this entire duration of this test match, they missed their number one batter in Shubman Gill. He could not participate in both the innings, but that's how the cookie crumbles. The injuries are part of sport. That apart, that disadvantage apart, they should have still chased 124 down. And that is, I think, undisputed. And that is something, not my opinion alone, the coach in Gautam Gambhir also came out and said that they had no business losing it, and I think that cannot be changed. Having said that, that's the only thing that I agree with when it comes to the coach of the Indian team in Gautam Gambhir. He further went on to talk about the pitch, and as I said, that is the biggest discussion point. Gautam Gambhir has said that this is exactly the way we wanted this pitch, and that raises a lot of questions. Win or learn? That is one logic that is often used, ridiculed, or made fun of in international cricket. I'm afraid I can't even use that logic to justify this decision, because despite repeatedly coming up with tracks like this, digging holes for the opposition, you have fallen there, yet you have not learnt your lesson. So there is no learning that is happening from producing tracks like this. Of course, wins are not happening either, because you lost that series at home to New Zealand, the biggest series defeat and the lowest point in Indian cricket, in the history of Indian cricket, whitewashed by New Zealand. If that wasn't enough to teach you a lesson, now you're saying that this is exactly the pitch that you wanted, this is the hole that you were digging for the opposition, and you fell in. And on basis of what? Where did this batting lineup give you confidence that you can have batters that can bat in these conditions? I can agree that you went with that strategy only on the basis of seeing some of your batters scoring runs there. On the evidence of what we've seen, not now, but for the last few years, every time you've come up with pitches like this, it has come to bite you. You have shot yourself in the foot. Then why in the hell would you want to have pitches like that? You just had an outstanding series versus West Indies where you had sporting pitches, you won. Previous to that, you gave sporting pitches to the England team that had come in 2024, you won. Rahul Dravid was the coach at that time. You went to England, you were the underdogs, you drew a series there on good sporting wickets. If there is any evidence, it is that on good pitches you are a much better team, yet you produce a rank turner. What has that done? It has continued the poor run of Gautam Gambhir, the coach, He just has 2 series wins to show under his coaching tenure, one against Bangladesh and one against West Indies. Nothing that you can really wear as a badge of honor. The big series that you've had, Australia, after winning 2 series in Australia back to back, you lost the series, BGT in Australia. You lost to New Zealand at home. You've drawn against England. And now you're not going to win this series. At best, if you win in Guwahati, you can only draw it. That's not a great record. And I'm afraid if India were to either draw or lose the last test match, that means they end up, at best drawing this series or losing this series. I think that will be the end of Gautam Gambhir's tenure as coach. It should be the end if you lose another series at home. If in case you win that test match, it's a draw. I still think that there should be discussions going into the future whether this is the setup that you want to carry on in test cricket. I think those discussions are merited at the moment with the performances that you've seen. Let's turn our attention to the performance, and I talk about India's batting. That's where I say that why is it that they needed to chase this down? Look at what a Temba Bavuma did. Those 55 worth their weight in gold. I will actually draw a parallel to Rahul Dravid's 68 that he got in Jamaica on a minefield of a pitch. India won that test match in Jamaica. With that, they won that series 1-0. First time in 37 years in 2006, they went on to win a series in West Indies. That was a clutch knock. One of the finest I've seen under pressure in tough conditions. And I'm going to compare Temba Bavuma's 55. And that's what I say. Where was that discipline from the Indian batters? Where was any Indian batter? Where was India's Temba Bavuma who gave you a 50? You should have had somebody step up, whether it was a Yashasvi Jaiswal who stepped up, or a KL Rahul, or a Rishabh Pant. Somebody had to step up on that occasion and get those 55 runs, and you would have chased that total down. And I think that is where a lack of temperament and a lack of skill level to survive, and that also goes down to your selection. This entire mindset that we've seen in the last year or so, where you've got the white ball mentality creep into test cricket, where you're trying to make bits and pieces cricketers, all-rounders, bat anywhere, get them to let's have batting till 8-9. All these things really do well in white ball cricket. Test cricket was still sacrosanct. Test cricket believed in specialists. You've gone away from that thinking, and from BGT onwards you've seen it, and see the dividends that you've got. One of the worst test runs that India has had with that mentality, with that selection mindset that India is going in. And now that you say that this is the pitch that you want, you know what that brings with it? Another problem. What do you do in Guwahati now? Common sense, common logic will tell you this is a hole that we are digging, and we are only falling into it. Let's change. Let's salvage something. Let's get a good batting pitch there. Maybe we win the test match. At least we'll save ourselves the blushes. It'll be a drawn series. But no, now that you've said this is exactly the pitch that we wanted, we got the pitch. Now, to justify that, you will have to come up with another spin-friendly track in Guwahati. And that leaves you vulnerable, leaves you in a position where you can lose another series at home. That's where you find yourselves in. Just to set the record straight, not only has Gautam Gambhir said it, I know how the pitch was being made at the Eden Gardens. I checked with my local sources there. They were preparing a good batting pitch that would have given you runs on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4 onwards, or end of day 3 onwards, spin would have come in. I think those would have been ideal conditions. The Indian team reaches there, the management is not happy, they stop watering the pitch 3 days before the test match starts, thinking that it will help their spinners. They did that, and see what has happened. And now, because you're saying this is what you wanted, now best of luck in preparing the pitch that you will be preparing going forward. Temba Bavuma, salute to you. I think it is also a bit of karma. Nasty things were said to him. And this is not sledging. Sledging is fine where abusers fly. This was body shaming him. I think this was a slur that was directed at him. Kept quiet, let his bat do the talking. Look at his record now as captain. 11 test matches he's captained South Africa. 10 they've won, drawn 1, yet to lose a test match. Truly the champions of the world in test match cricket, as they are the WTC champions. Well done to South Africa. Plenty to ponder over for this Indian team. And going forward, I think this, as I started, this test match is not just about the pitches or the future of your coach, the future of this team, this test match actually will have a big bearing on the future of test cricket in India. You're struggling in a scenario where fans are not coming to the grounds. Luckily at Eden Gardens, I know people in Kolkata love their cricket. You had packed houses. What have you served them? You've served them a lottery of a pitch where they may have come to see some good batting performances. They haven't seen that. They may have wanted to see 5 days of a test match. They've seen 2.5. That's not a great advert for test cricket, which is already fighting for its survival here in India. Do let us know your thoughts about this particular test match and where does Indian test cricket go from here in the comment section. Give us a like if you're enjoying our content. Share this video with your friends with whom you have been debating all these issues cropping up in Indian cricket. I'm sure they'd have a thing or two to say as well. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to Sports Today. Bye-bye.